What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about comics. Yes! Now, I know some of you are already trying to run away, but please don't, okay? I know you're like, damn it, Mark, where's the real books? Well, I wouldn't be reading these real books if it wasn't for comic books. Back in the day, man, I had no attention span, no whatever. I didn't have the stuff. I didn't have the juice to be a reader. I know I do now, and I do attribute some of that to comic books. I mean, this is where I really liked to get into stories, where I, so to speak, fell in love with storytelling. So one of the things I wanted to do is start to kind of integrate comic books into my channel. For one, because I want to fucking talk about them, guys. I had a whole bunch of shit kind of going on as far as comics right before I started my channel, but I went full-blown, into books. And I'm at this point where I just want to fucking talk about it. Whether that is a good thing or bad thing, where people want to watch it or not, I don't care. Part of running your own channel is just kind of doing the things that you want to do. And guys, I love comic books and I want to fucking talk about them, all right? So here we are. Now, I do know comics don't have such a great rep right now, okay? We know that the comic book industry is kind of tanking. It's not as shiny and awesome as it once was. And it's certainly getting the shit kicked out of it by manga, okay? That's without a you don't need it. That's just a fucking fact, okay? So now for me though, the thing is that's kind of sad because I was a huge comic book fan back when I was a kid, and sure, I've had somewhat of a hiatus, but man, I don't want to be part of the problem. I don't want to be the guy sitting in the corner of his house talking shit about comics, about something that I fucking love. Are they 100% got it all together and they're fucking killing it? No. But it doesn't mean that every single thing that's being written or drawn sucks ass and we should just fucking forget about it. No. There has got to be plenty of gold out there, and that's what I'm trying to do now, is go on a quest. A comics quest. Questing for comics, you get it, you know what I mean? We're going to put quest and comics together some fucking how and make some new content. Hope you're ready. Okay, guys, so I have a pretty big-ass stack of comic books to haul for you guys. I'm going to be reviewing some of these. I'm going to just be straight-up spoiler talking about some of these. Not in this video, but I'm just letting you know what to expect down the pipeline from me, okay? Get ready. So, no particular order. We're just going to get into it. All right. So, first up is actually the only one I have for DC right now, and that is, boom, Why the Last Man by Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerrera. So guys, I actually was, started reading Saga, and I was talking about it on the Discord, and then Angela and Justin kind of piped in and were like, oh, Why the Last Man is even better. So I picked this up, and then I was really surprised. What do you know? A fucking TV show drops for the same thing. So I've actually been watching the show. I haven't started this yet, but I think it might be kind of cool to kind of compare the two and see what the differences are. Either way, after reading Saga, the first book, I'm excited to read anything by Brian K. Vaughan. Amazing. Next up is a comic that I'm actually kind of wondering if I can sue them for likeness rights, and that is Scumbag, Volume 1, Cocaine Finger. But look at this guy. Does he look like somebody? Huh? Okay, I've had a fucking cigarette. I'm telling you, I'm the scumbag. Don't tell anyone. Shh. Oh, it's like a Clark Kent thing. Who knows? I have no fucking clue what this comic is about, but it's called Scumbag, and the first volume is called Cocaine Finger. How the fuck am I not going to pick this up, all right? I don't know if I'm going to review it or just straight up talk about it or what, but I'm definitely going to be reading it. It is by Rick Remender, who is somebody who has a huge body of goddamn work, so I'm pretty interested to see what he's cooked up here. Okay, next up from Image as well, we have Die by Kieran Gillen. And guys, I picked this up because I'm actually reading Once and Future by Kieran Gillen as well through Boom Studios. And I was so pleased with it, I should say, that I had to go and find out what else Kieran Gillen was doing or had done. And man, a bunch of this guy's stuff really sounds like my kind of cup of tea. Like, he's really writing things that appeal to me. And I had to pick up this. I got volume 1 and 2 of Die. I think I have volume 3 on the way. And so this is kind of like, it sounds like a fucked up version of Jumanji, where like these kids are playing like tabletop D&D and they get sucked into the game and then like spit out later. And then, you know, many years they're older and they have to deal with this shit all over again. I'll read the back real quick. In the 90s, 6 teenagers disappeared into a fantasy role-playing game. Only 5 returned. Nearly 30 years later, these broken adults are dragged back to discover the game isn't finished with them. Whoa, man, I'll tell you, I'm digging these fantasy comics, man. This one of my complaints was there was never really a whole lot of awesome fantasy comics, much more like into the superheroes, whatnot. I don't think so anymore, guys. I think that there's so much awesome fantasy content out there, and I can't wait to dive into Die by Kieran Gillen. And then just keeping with Kieran Gillen, I have Kieran Gillen and Dan Mora's Once and Future that I was just talking about as well. Tamara Bonvillain is an artist on this as well. So I got volumes 1, volumes 2, volumes 3. Man, I'm super stoked on this, guys. This is like a current day. It's a fucking King Arthur tale, but it is flipped to the max. King Arthur is like an undead nightmare. We're talking magic, swords, all this stuff. We're talking about kids that were raised from birth to be knights and play pawns in this game. So you got a character named Galahad and a character named Percival, and they're kind of being both played by the two opposing sides. And this fucking King Arthur zombie guy is a fucking beast, and it's very graphic and bloody, just nitrous paced. This is the fastest paced book. It's a limited edition, so they have an idea from beginning to end, and they're taking you on this ride very quickly, but it's not so quick that you feel like you're being ejected from your seat. It's actually the best pacing. Yes, it's lightning fast, but it's it should be lightning fast, and it's a whole lot of fun all the way through. I just finished the first volume. Can't wait to sink my teeth into the rest, and I'm not sure exactly if I'm going to be reviewing it or diving deeper and doing spoiler talks, because it is something I really want to talk about. Next up, through Image as well, we have East of West. This is volume 2. This is Jonathan Hickman's series. I got the rest coming as well. I'm going to get through this one now. Jonathan Hickman is a very impressive comic writer, guys, especially if you're looking for someone who plays the long game. East of West is like a slow burn Western sci-fi that is fucking amazing. And that's that stuff, man, that people love Hickman for. You know, we were all excited when he jumped into XMen, and it's a lot because of the kind of stuff he does here in East of West. Next up, through Image as well. Most of these are through Image, guys. I love Image. Anyway, Monstrous. Bam! Fucking stunning art, stunning cover, stunning story. I mean, this is one of the biggest surprises for me this year, especially in comics. I am enamored. I read the first volume. I bought fucking 2 through 6 already. I was just like, I gotta keep going. Guys, this is like steampunk Final Fantasy meets, H.R. Geiger, Lovecraftian kind of horror stuff. It is so awesome. It's written by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda, and these girls are just fucking killing it. They thrust you into a very vast and rich fantasy world that has multiple races, all this stuff, fucking magic and history galore, and you're just kind of slowly figuring it out as you push forward. And each time you kind of get another kernel of knowledge, man, it feels like an aha moment. I just feel like it's very brilliantly done. This world is just something I cannot get enough. The characters are awesome. It's a very heavy female kind of cast, whatnot. Like all the like I would say probably like 90 to 10%, 90% female, maybe 10% male characters. And I don't give a shit because I'm loving everybody in these pages. Good, bad, doesn't matter. It's just very well done. Stunning illustrations. This is fucking 5 stars across the board, guys. I cannot fucking talk about this enough. In fact, I'm most guaranteedly going to be doing plenty of spoiler talks on this just because I don't want to stop talking about it. I think it's fucking awesome. Next up through Image as well, we have, bam, Gideon Falls by Jeff Lemire. Now, Jeff Lemire does some like horror stuff and just weird out there shit, and I've just only barely scratched the surface in Gideon Falls, but it does sound like, or it, what I've gotten into was cool and intriguing. I'm really excited to get into this. Hopefully I can kind of talk about this next month for October, because I think it will be fitting. This is actually some of like people's favorite comic, man. So, and Jeff Lemire is definitely a guy who people are keeping their eye on. I know Primordial, which I just picked up, is getting a lot of buzz. So it's definitely somebody we should all be keeping our eye on. But yeah, really stoked for Gideon Falls. Next up, and just kind of keeping with the horror thing, we got by James Tynion, Something's Killing the Children. I got volumes 1 and 2. Yeah, so this, once again, I don't know a whole lot about it, besides it's supposed to be like a horror comic, and it's, was it a nominated, or was it actually a winner? It might have won the Will Eisner Award. So, I mean, honestly, I feel like that's something we're going to have to check out if we're questing for gold here, right, guys? Yeah. Hopefully next month. I feel like, once again, kind of along with Gideon Falls, I feel like Something is Killing the Children sounds like an October, like just, pure October gold, okay? The next Image book I have to talk about is by Donny Cates, who is somebody who's got another, once again, more current writer who has quite a large body of work for stuff currently. Donny Cates, man, I haven't really read much of Donny Cates' stuff, if I'm going to be honest. But when I saw this cover for Crossover, will you get my attention? So, it's like the kid reading a comic and his fucking face is being blasted off. Yes, please. Take my fucking money already. Now, the cool thing about Crossover is, not knowing anything, going in blind. What happens is basically this is a book where superheroes kind of enter our real world. It takes place in like 2017. There's like a portal that opens up in Denver, Colorado, and superheroes just start piling through. And you would think like, oh, cool, superheroes are here. But it's not cool because shit goes bad. Faces are melting. People are dying. It's pure pandemonium. Oh. And then one of the superheroes casts a spell that creates a dome over the city and such, kind of just locks these superheroes in it, like in a fucking forever battle of fighting. Now, this also, even though they might be trapped inside the dome, this has obviously affected the rest of the world. So now the world is very like anti-comics, since comics have come through into the real world and fucked shit up. So it's kind of interesting to see this like kind of bigotry and racism towards comics, like toons, so to speak. The artwork is interesting in which way they decide to do like real people at like regular drawings, and then anyone that is a comic book character, they do kind of the old school dots like Archie style. Now, I have to admit, when I first read this, it started really good and then kind of got like where I was like, I didn't think I was going to continue. But at the end of the first volume, it grabbed me by the seat of the pants and said, where do you think you're going, silly? Nowhere. It really grabbed my interest. Enough for me to go out and grab the next issue. I just took a peek in here and I could see what Donny Cates is doing. He's doing a little fucking honey dicking, but whatever. This issue does not follow this one directly. It's actually even written by somebody else, but I do like the concept, and I hope that's something that Donny Cates continues to do. Since Crossover very much does feel like a crossover, it would be neat to see him tap a lot of other artists and really inject their own style into this world of his to make it really crossover. We'll see. And next up, I think this is the last Image title I have. I know they're almost all Image. Gotcha! Saga, Book 1, the hardcover. So this just collectively puts several volumes together. I don't know exactly how. I think this was 18 issues altogether. Written by Brian K. Vaughan and drawn by Fiona Staples. And guys, everything about this is kick-ass. Everything about it is kick-ass. The artwork, the story. You know, this story is one of the most impressive star-crossed lovers stories, really. It's just fucking good, man. It's a Romeo and Juliet in space with sexual, psychedelic shit thrown at you, man. It is nuts. I'm actually really blown away with how much, like, sexuality stuff is in here, but I feel like it's just done well. I become a prude real quick, which is hilarious considering I got 4 kids. It's not like I got a problem with sex, but like that I read it and I become a prude all of a sudden. But here, this thing is just laced from beginning to end with sexuality, but I do feel like it's just done in a proper way. One that I think once you read it, you kind of understand where it's coming from. I'm not saying it's wholesome, because it's wackadoo, but it's just done right. And what I've heard is Michael K. Vaughan actually started writing this when he was becoming a parent, and I think that kind of shines through. There is the relationship between our two main characters, which is not just stunning because it's a relationship between a husband and a wife, and that, like, the love between them two, but it's also a relationship between two people that are brand new parents in a world that's just fucking after them. It's brilliant. It will break your heart. I got teared up reading this shit. It's good, guys. Saga. I got books, the hardcovers, book 2 and 3 coming. I think that's where we're at currently, and I know that Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples will be returning to Saga after their, hiatus. Okay, next up is what I got from Marvel, and guys, Marvel was my shit. I was never really a DC guy. I was always really into Marvel. I loved X-Men. X-Men and mutant books were the best. I just fucking dug that shit, okay? So back in 2019, a little bit before I started my channel, it was an exciting time, especially if you're an X-Men fan, because Hoxpox, House of X, Powers of 10, guys. This is written by Jonathan Hickman. So this is the book. It's like a collaboration, 6 books, or 6 issues of House of X, 6 issues of Power of 10 mixed together. And what this does, guys, is this reboots X-Men and the mutants and the X books, everything. So if you're somebody like me who read a lot, like in the 80s and the early 90s, but then fell out, and now there's just this sea of continuity that could just be very overwhelming to try to jump back into, this is a breath of fresh air. Not just because it's a reboot, but because it's written by Jonathan Hickman, who is a guy you want writing your comics if you want to play the long game. I'll say that every fucking time. And so what Jonathan Hickman does here in House of X, Powers of X, guys, we got a sovereign nation now for the mutants, Krakoa. So now good and bad are living together in harmony back in paradise. And they're also trying to kind of carve out their place in the real world, kind of letting, the rest of the human race understand, like, look, we're here to stay, and this is the role we're going to be playing. Now, there's a lot of stuff that rolls into Krakoa with plants and resurrection and a lot of stuff. Gateways that get them from point A to point B in no time. Whole lot of shit. I don't want to go all into it, but why I'm even hauling this right now is because you got to understand, this, I think, is very, very worth it, because not only does it show the massive amount of potential for something like the X-Men, it's paved the way for what's going on right now. Even if Marvel decides to change things next year, I doubt they're going to drop the Krakoa stuff. So one way or the other, Jonathan Hickman has kind of changed the landscape for mutants, and this is how you start out, okay? If you want to jump into anything mutant-wise nowadays, start here. House of X, Powers of X. The next big Marvel crossover after Hoxpox is going to be, bam, Ten of Swords. And this is a big bastard. This was 22 issues, and this was Dawn of X. So after House of X, Powers of 10 come out, or Powers of X, right? Hoxpox comes out. That's when, boom, Dawn of X hits. And what Dawn of X is, guys, it's just the reboot. So now you have X-Men issue number 1, Marauders number 1, Excalibur number 1, X-Force number 1, New Mutants number 1. Okay, everything's starting over with an issue number 1. And then they worked into this all right, probably around issue 10. And this is like where we're starting to get into some cool shit with Apocalypse. There is, we get a lot of history about Apocalypse. We get 10 mutants from another world facing off against 10 mutants of our own in a sword fight. Boom. But only, the thing is, guys, the sword fight, that doesn't really happen. It ends up kind of going in all kinds of crazy directions, and there's a lot of controversy from, diehard fans because they feel like they kind of got screwed. Personally, I had a fucking ton of fun tromping around through this book. Do I think it's disjointed? Yes, because it's been written by so many different people trying to get one cohesive story out. But god damn it, I do not feel like I got ripped off. I don't feel like I wasted my time or my money. X of Swords is definitely a fun ride. Just don't be expecting a 10 versus 10 sword match from holy hell. That's just not going to happen. Next up, I grabbed boom, XMen Empire. This is just like a 1 through 4 issues kind of deal. Kind of like a little mini series. It's going to be like a zombie apocalypse kind of deal. I originally just picked it up because I knew Magic was going to be in it. And she's like one of my top favorite Marvel characters, maybe even fucking comic book characters. Love me some Ilyana Rasputin. Next up is going to be one of my favorite goddamn Marvel books right now, and I am so sad that it's coming to an end in December, and that is no other than Zeb Wells' Hellions, guys. This is volume 1 and 2, and then I picked up the other issues as well. I mean, this is just a great I know you're shining on that ring light, but man, these were just so awesome. This is such a great little run that came out of Dawn of X, and it just blows me away. Like the recent Sinister, Mr. Sinister, is so much better, I think, than the one I grew up with. I love Mr. Sinister, the one I grew up with. But right now, Mr. Sinister is a wacky, maniacal maniac who has Deadpool-style humor, and I can't get enough. He's making fun of himself. He's making fun of everybody goddamn else. It is a barrel of laughs. This comic book is so goddamn cool. So what essentially is going down is here on Krakoa, you have mutants living together in paradise. So that's good and bad guys. So what do you do with those misfit mutants, the ones with powers that are dangerous? Well, Mr. Sinister puts together this team, and he's trying to do it for therapeutic value. He's saying, hey, maybe if we have a situation where something just needs to be destroyed or someone really needs to be killed, then we'll just kind of let these guys loose, and it'll be like therapy. They can get, some kind of cathartic fucking healing through this whole deal. And it's really just a guise, it's killers disguised as therapy. But it's a lot of goddamn fun. Next up was another very pleasant surprise, especially within the Dawn of X books. I really thought that I was going to cling to X-Men and New Mutants, but honestly, besides Hellions, bam! Excalibur! This was my next favorite book, and I've seen it take some criticism, so I'm probably going to be doing some spoiler talking about this one, just because, for one, I fucking love it, and I think that maybe a different point of view needs to be out there, alright? So it's written by Teenie Howard, written by Marcus Toe, and guys, Marcus Toe's artwork is good. It's so goddamn good. It really drew me in. He breaks the panel in just the best ways. The colorist, Arcianega, fucking dope as shit as well. Killing it. And I do see that, people have criticized Teenie Howard, but my thing is I would say that I picked this book up mostly because I saw Gambit on the cover, and that's probably my biggest disappointment as far as character handling. But at the same time, Teenie Howard has done something with the character of Betsy Braddock, where now Betsy Braddock, as Captain Britain, is one of my fucking new favorite characters, dude. And I didn't give a shit about her, but now I do. Betsy! Anyway, guys, definitely going to be getting into Excalibur. Gotta love that. You know, one cool thing about this is it opens up Otherworld in the Marvel Universe, and that's got Camelot, Avalon, and other stuff. And it all links into Ten of Swords. Well, all right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this little haul. Hopefully you're ready and excited as much as I am for this comics quest, questing for comics, quest, comics, whatever the fuck we're going to be calling it. Don't know. Man, I'm just stoked, though. This is, like, I am excited. I hope you are, too. If not, sorry, because it's happening anyway. All right. Do this or do that. I don't fucking care. All right? All right. Peace.